We are here with Steve Ferris, Steve George, Pat Mastelotto, and Richard Page, otherwise known as Mr. Mister. Welcome, gentlemen, to this conversation.
Hello, Anil.
Hello, thank you.
Now, you're all holed up at Pat Mastelotto's studio over in Austin. Tell me about the occasion for this gathering.
Well, it's my birthday. My birthday was last week, and we celebrated Richard Page's 70th birthday about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, out in Malibu, where he lives. And I thought at the time it would be great to do this again to get to see the guys. We hadn't seen each other for 30 or 40 years that time. So this was only a 2 year gap. And I've been building the studio, so it seemed like a great thing to have the guys here. So that's the occasion. We did it yesterday.
And what did you guys get up to over there in the last couple of days in terms of recording and jamming?
Well, we realized they were not quite as fast as we used to be. Certainly as stubborn, but we got to play the old songs, which is great. And honestly, kind of crazy that we could still play them as good. I think the band always just had this chemistry since the first time we got together. And back in those days, it was in 1983. I remember thinking, and I was kind of in a space in my life where I was getting offers from other gigs and things that were name gigs, and realizing always that no, there's something special going on in this deal. And I think one of the guys last night, one of the people, one of your friends or whatever, you brought that up and said, there's just sort of a magic when you guys play. Now, everybody's accomplished, and we've all played with a bunch of accomplished people, but there's kind of a certain chemistry when you get together playing. You go, God, it sounds like Mr. Mister, good or bad, but it sounds like Mr. Mister. So that's what we did.
Tell me about the tunes you worked up.
We worked up a bunch of songs. We had a list of maybe what, 12 or 13, and some of them didn't work out so well.
In what way is that?
Well, it's just, and others just sort of happen. So, it's getting the cobwebs out is hard. And having not rehearsed together, it's always just, who knows what's going to happen. But there were some moments, definitely some moments. And we kind of all looked at each other and went, yeah, that sounds pretty good. So without going over the exact list of songs, it's songs that true fans will all know. And
I like how you put the word true in there.
Yeah.
True fans.
Well, I mean, casual fans might not know, but I thought it sounded pretty good overall, just for, not having played together for a long time.
And how would you describe sort of the purpose of doing this and the potential outcome of it?
Well, the purpose was for Pat's 70th birthday. And, we're just, we're doing songs and hoping that we can get something out of it. But, it's hard to say.
I think the purpose is to get together and have fun with
Yeah.
the band, because we don't do it that much, obviously. Rich asked me the other day before this happened, how much do you play guitar? I said, once every couple of months at least. And that's true. In my life, I don't play very much, and I'm always amazed we can pick it up. Well, I'm always amazed I can pick it up and still play. And we can, so I think it's just fun more than anything. That's why we're here. Really.
Before while we were bringing gear in, and when Slug arrived, he gives me a hug. He says, I don't care if we play fucking music at all. I'm just happy to see you.
Yeah.
And we had our wives and the kids that hadn't seen each other before. And
Yeah.
so that was the biggest purpose, was a hang, and for the guys to see the potential of what I have in my studio that we could do. So many technical things within a band like us. We were a pretty high-tech band, incorporating, we can play some stuff stand and deliver straight off the floor, but there's other songs that incorporated, more technical stuff, and that was hard to get together without rehearsal. And I had two drum kits out in the room, an acoustic kit and an electric kit, make it even harder for the engineer. So to record that, plus we had a PA in the room, for where our audience of whatever 10 people could hear vocals and everything. So it was a very difficult situation to put an engineer in.
We got together in the early 80s when these sequencers and new technologies were starting to happen that we were really enamored of. It's like, wow, you can do this, you can program this, and you hit a button and it does that. But none of us ever thought, well, how are we going to pull this all off live? Like, how will that work? And in those days, even the triggering mechanisms were really
Wow.
ancient and, not reliable. But so now it's like, well, we're still kind of stuck with that. Like a song like Kyrie, you can't just, I mean, we could try and, like a real stripped down version of it, but it wouldn't be the song that everybody remembers. But so yeah, we are a little.
Okay, you don't know this. I bought one of these. This is the new improved Lindrum version by Behringer. Came out
Oh,
about a
it's
week
new.
ago, 3 weeks
Oh
ago.
my.
It's so difficult to program, it overwhelmed me, and I had to deal with other things. But that's the trouble. You play Broken Wings, you really want the shaker, but it's in here and all that stuff. So setting up the routing, we just ended up, as I recall, we just pulled up a shaker yesterday, right? And put
Yeah,
a quick
yeah.
Put
shaker,
down a
Right.
Yeah,
track.
you
ran
recorded
it
it.
down while they rehearsed the song, and then played it again with the shaker, so I didn't have to have a third arm.
Right. And we can't play without a shaker.
You gotta have the 16ths.
Gotta have, yeah. Gotta have the
So-
subdivision.
Well, Pat, tell us a little bit more about this fantastic new studio of yours, and why don't the rest of you also talk about what you make of it?
What do you want me to tell you about it? 50 by 30, and I started building about 2 years ago. I was gonna build it. I bought some property, another location. Anyway, COVID, everything changed around that time. So we had a big freeze here in Texas. I lost some trees, and Deborah, my wife, said, you could build this all in the back of the house, behind our property. So that's where it is. And I'm very lucky that Deb is Deb, because all through the process, she was going, make it bigger. I say, it's really too big. No, make it bigger. I know you're going to want it. You're going to want more space. So I've got a loft over the control room. We're sitting in the control room now, and a big tracking room. Really, it's for me and my friends. I'm not trying to make a public place. And among many engineers I work with a lot, Adrian Benavides helped me. He helped wire the room, and he kind of threw his gear in with mine because he needs a place as well. So I had about half the gear, and then this here, about half the gear is Adrian's.
It's got a good vibe, really good vibe. That's the most important thing. How can you function with each other in an environment, and it feels good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to be tweaking.
Tweaking forever. I mean, you guys keep saying the room actually sounds really good, both from a drumming standpoint. It's live enough, it's dry enough, and there's a lot of opportunities to put things in different places. But I didn't make a good vocal booth situation with sight lines, so that that hurt me yesterday. That there's a lot of drum bleed if I played acoustic drums, because we're just in the room together. So
It reminds me of the studio they did Get Back in, or was that Get Back,
Yeah.
the Beatles?
yeah.
That-
Because I put a catwalk around the studio. So besides the loft over the control room, you can go out around the room on basically a catwalk around two of the sides. And I use that. I was trying to explain to the guy when I was building, and he said, "Oh, you want a trophy wall?" He said, "I do this all the time. Guy wants his motorcycles up there, or whatever it is."
Yeah, perfect.
In my case, it's drums. It's like
Yes, and it's good trophy. Good trophies. I'm just happy to be in somebody's home studio. All my home studio stuff got destroyed in the Nashville flood in 2010. It was in a storage place called Soundcheck, which you guys probably all know.
Yeah, we know it.
And I remember the flood was happening, and my bookkeeper in down there called and said, "Everything okay?" I said, "No, man, in my house, I had a condo. It's on the 5th floor." Then somebody sent me a picture of a sea-doo going around the building where all my gear was. And that was all my shit was five days underwater. So I since then have not had a studio or anything to record, which is interesting because people say, "I'll send you a track." I go, "Great, I won't have anything to play it on, but it'll be great. I'll hold it up." So this is lovely to come to somebody's place that has a facility.
Yeah, when I walked in, I was really impressed, I didn't expect it to be, be like this. I mean, Pat's got top-notch gear, and the room's great, and it was really fun,
Those King Crimson tours paid off.
Yeah. Oh, that's paid off. I pay it off. I pay as I go.
It's paid off.
I build till I'm out of money, and then I continue when I get some more checks.
Anyway, it's fun. We had a good time.
Well, how was this gathering different than when you all got back together in 2023 to record some old tunes?
We're all retired of each other. So no, I don't know how it's different. It isn't quite as much of a surprise. That last time was the first time we played. It was 35 years.
Yeah, right.
I mean, last time I played with the guy, they did things after me. Last time I played with you guys was 88, I think, 88 or
Wow.
89.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, we got together, and I mean, we'd seen each other, whatever, but that was the first time. It was a long time. So it was really fun to just walk in the room and look at each other for a minute. And now it's a continuation, I guess. I didn't notice any less happiness when we emerged to each other, maybe even more happiness. And that's great. That's all it's
You know,
worth. That's
we
what
had
needs to
a
be worth.
we had a short moment in time in the rock history of the world, and it was very quick, very brief, but it was very impactful for us to have #1 hits, a #1 album, and you know the kind of recognition that we got, and then it just kind of ended as quickly as it began, which is okay. I mean, I remember sort of being, you know, a little miffed by that. Thought, wow, how come we couldn't keep it going? But these are not things for us to really
No.
contemplate or know that things happen like that. But the thing about us, the four of us, including John and George, our managers, that we've all remained friends, and we all have that tightness because of what happened to us. We all can remember the special thing that we did together, and how in the studio things were just magically produced somehow. We don't even know. You know, sometimes you look back and go, how did we do that? But so it's always just kind of like, hey, let's just take up where we left off. And there's never been a lot of serious animosity or anything, you know, just things happen the way they did. And here we are, happy to be doing this together.
We
Well,
were
what,
fortunate enough to be, I'm sorry. I was saying we were
go
fortunate
ahead.
enough to be one of the few that gets to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. And I was saying it the other day, I said, you know, I hate the word luck. There's no luck, man. Everything's fortunate because you work your ass off and you get what you get. But we somehow got what we got. And to me, that has remained present in my life ever since. And I'm sure for everybody else. But I mean, this many years later, it doesn't matter what part of life I'm in, which is most often quite different than music for me. And he's the guy from Mr. Mister. I mean, it's still like this life thing that you have forever. So we're very blessed in that way, I think.
Well, you've done so many things since Mr. Mister, all of you. Let's explore the chemistry that you feel is unique to this band, given all of these subsequent experiences. When you came back to it the last few days and back in 23, what do you notice about the four of you as a collective that maybe you don't experience elsewhere?
Well, I noticed that we were a tight little funky band, actually. Like it seemed like we could have or should have maybe connected with somebody like a Nile Rodgers or something to focus more on that side of
The rhythmic side.
the rhythmic side of the band, more a little more slave to the rhythm kind of overview of what we were, not necessarily a straight up pop band. But I think the thing that's totally nobody can touch it is Rich and Slug singing together. It's fucking amazing what happened. And they don't, you know, they just showed up and it's like, dude, it's unbelievable the way their two voices sound together.
And you know, I've always described this band as a band, and it started from the beginning. They walk in the room, and everybody comes up with their own parts and stuff. And there's never had to be a lot of, hey, play this or play that, look at each other. And that's what I always thought was magic from the very beginning. I thought, man, everybody's coming up with something and really bringing something to the party every time. All four, and it might be different, and we have different influences and different tastes. And I think that's always been the basis of the chemistry for me. And you know, because we've all been in a million other things. There's a lot of conversation about this or that or somebody's not, and it's like you kind of show up and everybody takes their role, and it's always good. I think that's a great
Any
pause. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, of course, the band is known for its amazing songs, and but the fact is, you know, you're all high caliber musicians, and you have a lot of experience in the instrumental realm. And Richard, you mentioned previously in interviews that the band would play weather report tunes during sound checks. Tell me how you guys intersect as instrumentalists, independent of the lyrics.
Well, I wouldn't put myself in that category. There's so many great bass players that or so, you
He's,
know,
he's,
blown
too,
away.
he's too modest.
Ah.
Anyway.
But this guy here really can play. You know, Steve can play like Bill Evans, and you know, he really gets Miles Davis and understands jazz. And we always loved Weather Report as we were coming through our early career, you know, with Pages, and you know, trying to inject some of that into our music. But the cool thing is that Steve has this very sophisticated understanding of harmony and voicings and things that I don't really think of. I kind of just think in terms of simple melodies. So I think that blend is kind of what you're hearing on most of our songs. And then of course we got John Lang, who's always got some kind of lyric angle that makes sense and that's compelling. And then these guys, I mean, just kind of knowing what to do. So that I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, we loved playing Weather Report. We'd play Mr. Gone. What was that other song?
Oh, River.
What's that?
That's actually where the name kind of comes from, because
Yeah.
in rehearsal we're trying to think of another name to move on from Pages, and we're listening to Mr. Gone and starts, you know, spoofing on that thing, Mr. This, Mr. That. And
Well, the record company was calling us and saying, "You guys, your record's almost done. You don't have a name. You got to have a name for your band." And we all sat in a room like this and we're like, "Okay, what's it going to be?" And we thought, well, let's make it Mr. Something. And I think it was Pat who said, "What about Mr. Mister?" And we all, "Okay, great."
Doesn't piss me off. Doesn't piss me off. Doesn't piss me off. You know, it's like
Gotta have a name.
That's about how into it we
doesn't
were.
piss me off.
Yeah,
That's the name of the
I
band.
yeah,
That
it doesn't
doesn't
piss me
mean-
off.
I can live with that.
I can live with that. I can live with that. We often
Well,
wish we
Richard,
had a better story about the name, but that's the story.
well, Richard, I know you're being modest because I once hung out with Joe Zawinul and he called you an absolutely killer musician.
Oh, well,
That's great.
that's awesome.
It's true.
Bit of a compliment. Yeah.
You know, I admired him so much that I called him one day because
So did I.
a friend of mine, Carl Williams, who since his passed, he was famous for his role in Jesus Christ Superstar. He played Judas, a fantastic R&B singer, just one of the best. And he had done a song with Joe on the Domino Theory called "Can It Be Done? Can it be done? Is there one?" This melody thing just like knocked me out, and I just loved it so much. And I got Joe's number and I called him and I introduced myself and he said, "Yeah, who is it?" You know, and I said, "Oh, I'm, you know, in this band, Mr. Misty." He goes, "Yeah, what do you want?" You know, it was really off-putting. And I said, "Well, yeah, I know Carl, and if you ever need a vocalist, and I'm here." And he goes, "Okay." And he hung up. Calls me back the next day and he goes, "Hey, my kid says you're pretty good. Why don't you come over?" So I live not too far from him. And I said, "When?" He goes, "How about now?" So I went over and we just hit it off. You know, he was just one of those guys that, I mean, he's so musical. To me, he's like the reincarnation of Mozart. He just has everything in the matrix figured out. I mean, he was playing this melody. He had a basket of cassettes back in those days. And he's like, "Oh, let's see what this one sounds like." And he put it in. "Nah, I don't like that one." And he grabbed another one and had this melody. I go, "I like that one." He goes, "Oh, let's work on that one." And so he gave me the thing and I took it home and John and I wrote a lyric. And when I came back a week later with some words, he started playing the song again. And I said, "Well, it doesn't sound like the same song." And he looks at me and he goes, "You don't like it?" No, no, no. See, what I didn't understand was he could have played that melody 40 different ways
Right.
and they all would have been different and astoundingly different. But that's just the kind of the guy he was. So that's why we were just, you know, like he's just one of the greats of all time.
I want to add that I got to play on a little bit. I went over to his house. I said, "When do you want to start?" It's like 6 or 7 in the morning. I'm timidly knocking on his door not to wake him up. And he greets me with snuff.
Yes.
Snuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snuff and a demi cup of espresso. But it's like, well, I guess so. Let's go.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
So that to connect the weather report thing, that's why we do sound checks and play them. I mean, I guess we could have.
They're like the
put 'em
Beatles.
that.
They're one of the best bands ever in our generation.
Yeah, I remember one time we were years ago with Pages. We were at CBS and they were just coming out with Heavy Weather, and they were doing a presser there, and we were there. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
And I remember Joe. Somebody had asked Joe a question, and he said, "We're making the best fucking music of all time." And I was like, anybody else that would say that, you go, what an asshole. But
Okay.
As it turns out, he was right.
he was right. For us, he
For
was
the
right.
time, you know,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
All right. Well, as you guys re-explore this music, what are your thoughts on why, decades later, these songs continue to endure for listeners and your fan base?
They're good
The
songs.
good songs. That becomes the answer. You know what? What's interesting to me actually with the advent of, I guess, downloading songs and having a zillion avenues to listen to whatever you want to, if you're just exploring through the internet or whatever, that over the past couple decades or so, friends that have kids, they're always saying, yeah, my kid's he's into Yes. Well, where did you hear Yes? He found it on the internet or something, or he's into Led Zeppelin or something older, what am I getting at? Something that was great in the day. And you can often think, hey, it's great in the day because it was really pushed on everybody. You push stuff on people enough, they get it, whether it's pop music or whatever. And that's kind of an honest evaluation of the music. I always think he just likes it because it's good. I mean, almost is the more proving analysis of whether thing's good. And so I'm happy if people still like our stuff because maybe it's a real value that it isn't really just presented and pushed. Does that make sense? I mean, it's just like, wow, it's an honest, I love it or not.
Well, that's the great thing about music is that nobody's right and nobody's wrong about it. Everybody has their own perception of what they like. That's what makes it so cool. There's, I'm sure, tons of people that listen to our music. Well, that's not for me. And because there's all kinds of music that I say, that's not for me. So you just put it out there and it either sticks or it doesn't. And so far, we've been fortunate enough to where our songs have managed to cross decades and still remain somewhat popular.
We've only had to say to each other, that's not for me, only a few times in the band. So for our own stuff. So that's who knows, man? We're glad when people like it.
Well, the music industry today, I don't need to tell you, is virtually unrecognizable compared to the one Mr. Mystery came up in. I'm curious, do you think the band could have flourished within today's construct?
Good question.
I'm going to think we could. I'm going to think if it's quality, it's quality. And it's not like we wouldn't have figured out the avenues to get the music out now. I mean, we're doing it. I think it would. So if it's good, it's good. I'm going to go on that. That's what I'm going to believe. I don't know that music industry is so different. I'm not very involved in it all, but I have a lot of friends that are, I have a lot of guys in Nashville and everything, even telling me the changes in the last 10 years around they're going about things going. And I'm very glad we were in the era we were for a zillion reasons.
I think that's an unknowable question, actually. Who knows?
But I think we would have flourished.
Are there any benefits to this new streaming universe in terms of Mr. Mister's music being heard for generations to come?
I don't know where I saw it. My son turned me on to it, something on YouTube where these people sit and listen to a song that they've never heard before. I can't.
Reaction videos.
Yeah, reaction videos. And I watched one, Kyrie, and I was surprised, when the groove came in, they were like, yeah,
No, I
like this is happening. This is some young kids, right?
Yeah.
Who got it. Somehow they got what they got.
Yeah.
So, I forget what the question is, but
I thought about us doing a reaction video here to watching reaction videos of us, our own material. There just isn't enough time to
They
get
should
it.
just show us all going, yeah, I like how he's mopping his head. I've seen those though with our music.
I was very
Sometimes.
happy
It's
when
several
my granddaughter came for the Hey Soul Sister Mr. song, and she realized that's my grandpa's band.
First question always, do you guys get paid for that?
Oh yeah, somebody asked me that.
No.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think it's cool that
Yeah.
they
I
tip the hat.
tip
Yeah,
the
it's
hat.
great that they mentioned
But
this.
it also rhymed with Soul Sister. So what else would you do? Like, hey, Soul Sister, ain't that motley crew? I mean, it
Yeah,
wouldn't work.
yeah. I'm gonna always go with the fact they must really like us. Who knows? I did ask Dave Amato from, I think it's REO or somebody who's touring with him. I said, just find out if they actually like Mr. I just wanted.
All right. Well,
Yeah, when I was
what?
driving, I'm sorry, when I was driving along and first heard that, you know, and I, hey, this looks straight that Mr. Like, next chorus, they did say Mr. You know,
Well, tell us what each of you are up to these days in a solo capacity.
What are we each up to? Is that what he asked?
Well, Pat's the busiest of all of us by far. We all have other things going on that are kind of non-musical, endeavors. But you
Well,
got,
in
Snapshot.
Crimson's not active, so Crimson's not happening. We're not in the studio. All those press releases about it. We're in the studio. We're not in the studio. So I stay busy with Tony Levin. We have our Stickman band with Marcus, and I stay busy with Trey Gunn and Komara, the band with the Slovakian guitar player David Kohler and the Italian trumpet player. New record. I think it's really good. Very different. It's not pop music at all, And the stuff I do with ORK. Now ORK is to my mind very similar to Mr. Mister. It's all songs. We try to keep it down 4, maybe 5 minutes. We have one long piece on the new record, but it's a vocal oriented band. So much of what I do is instrumentally. The prime priority is the instrumental stuff. So ORK is the closest thing, and I hear the influences in those guys. They're younger than me; they're in their 40s and 50s. But I hear Misters, I hear Duran Duran, I hear stuff from our generation in their songwriting. Soundgarden. They're from that crossover of late 80s, early 90s influences.
I have probably departed the most from anybody else. I don't really do a lot of music anymore. I had another love, probably as passionately loved as music was for me since I was a little boy, and that's hunting ducks and geese. So I got into a business. I didn't see it as a business. I bought some land that I wanted to hunt on, and I learned how to develop the wetlands and restore wetlands, which turned into a whole other thing and turned into some other land and this and that. And I have a hunting business, but I also have a restoration business of wetlands and that sort of thing. And it's become equally as fulfilling for me because I had that kind of passionate love for it. I've worked for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I worked in about 5 different states doing that kind of stuff. So my life has really turned a corner, but that's why it's particularly fun for me to come back and go, hey, I can still play the guitar a little bit. It's pretty good. So I'm really doing something different, but I'm so thankful because this first part of my life, which includes this, I got a lot of fulfillment out of it. I don't sit there and look around and go, God, I wonder what it'd be like if, oh yeah, we did. So, that's been great for me.
well, I've been playing a little bit. I've done a few charity gigs, or go and play with a house band for different charities and stuff. Done a few of those. I like to just kind of get myself into my studio and come up with ideas. And getting older, I'm really trying to focus as hard as it is on not grasping so much at this life and trying to understand how to focus myself on old age and the ultimate
Departure.
end of old age, and how am I going to deal with that? To me, that's an interesting endeavor. And so, trying to unlock the spiritual understanding as best I can to make myself feel fine about getting old. It seems like we sort of look at it as a betrayal, that old age, and is, like the end of the fun, and why do we have to die? And these are my thoughts, trying to better understand that and kind of be able to be happy, actually happy.
Absolutely. Well, I've been after Mr. I played with Kenny Loggins for 6 years, and then Jewel for another 4 or 5. But I've been living a very simple life in Arizona for the last couple of decades, and I'm still writing and playing in a local band, and I'm playing more saxophone, which is a lot of fun. And that's about it, you know. I'm just glad we're all still here, that we can get together and do this, you know, because it's just really a lot of fun, you know. And I'm just glad that we're still able to do it, you know.
As I throw out a massive cough in the back.
All right, well, let's move on to some fan questions. And before we go to some specific ones, let's have you all address the most asked question. And you know what this question is. And that is, what are your thoughts about future Mr. Mystery gigs, tours, and albums?
Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, it's kind of a complicated thing.
Yeah, it is.
You know, our amount of success was limited basically to one album, 2 hit songs. We didn't have that reoccurring hit song career. We'd go from album to album, and it got bigger and bigger and better, to where our following became bigger and bigger, where you could justify actually going out and having a lucrative concert.
Let's just say not lose money.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but that's it. You know, it wasn't feasible. It just didn't make sense, dollars and cents wise, to do it. And you know, frankly, I have a hard time singing night after night after night at that same level. It's sort of like an athlete who, you know, you're a quarterback and you're 38 and you're 39. You go, well, how much longer can I do this? The voice doesn't respond like it did when I was 33. And so, and the songs are really high, and they require a lot of vocal gymnastics. So that's part of the problem for me. But I know a lot of fans wish that it would happen. It probably won't, but you know, who knows?
I think it would be fun if we could go out and play some smaller, I say smaller, but big clubs, I guess I should say. We're at that level, which maybe we could, maybe we couldn't. But yeah, we might be limited to how hard we can go at it. I don't know. But I mean, I think that would be fun, and probably, we talked about it last night. We talked about it and said, well, let me go test the water and see, just go for the kicks of doing it, you know, small setup, kind of different. And who knows, man? I mean, you know, we're just kind of at this point glad to get together and play a little bit.
But we did get to record some stuff, and we'll take a look at it and we'll see if it passes the test of whether or not we want to share it or not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple.
Don't get expectations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
enjoy what we've done. Be happy with that. We certainly do.
I'll go through all the files and start to separate out things, but right away when I listen, there's so many technical problem bullshit. So we got to work around issues that, you know, if we presented a new record, I would want it to sound like the fucking greatest record of all time. And this would be a compromised version because we did it, you know, whatever. We played 10, 15 songs in a couple hours, trying to deal with headphone mix.
Yeah, trying to get
10,
sound.
20 people walking through the room at the same time. It would just, you know, if we did it again, maybe we just do it with just the 4 of us and an engineer and pick one song and work on it all day. And then we have something, you know, but we didn't do it that way.
And then again, maybe we play it just so we did. Everybody says, that's the best work you guys have ever did. Who knows? It would be fun. That would be, but who knows?
Okay, well, let's move on to fan questions. And the first one is from Isabel Ortiz, and she asks, what moment stands out most from those years during which you were starting to be successful with Broken Wings? When did you think, yes, we've made it?
Well, for me, we were on the road with Tina Turner, and we were opening for Tina, and we were playing in Atlanta, I think, at the Omni.
Yeah.
And George, our manager, sent me a tech, or not a text
Wasn't a
back
tech.
then.
Yeah, free text.
It was a
by a carrier pit.
yeah, I think it was. But George sent me a message saying, "Congratulations on #1." And it took me a while to go, what's he talking about? Oh, Broken Wings went to #1. That's what he was telling me. And that was really a moment, for me going, wow, that's great. And we were having a great time with Tina too. Her and her band were wonderful. All the crew guys were great, and she was awesome.
Yeah, she's a fantastic.
So
There was another, and that for me too, that was it's certified. But I'll never forget the one time, and we were in Knoxville, I think it was Knoxville, Tennessee. And we're on the road for Tina. And Broken Wings was going up the charts. It wasn't #1, but it was going up the charts. Now, mind you, we stepped back from our first album, which was completely unsuccessful, and going through these record signing things that were quite similar to Spinal Tap, where nobody shows up. You're at a Neiman Marcus in front of a lipstick counter, and nobody's there, and you're waiting around. There's no, it's just all that. And then we went to a record signing thing in, I think, Knoxville, and we're driving over there in the limo. We had the limo back at the Neiman Marcus thing too. But anyway, we're driving over the limo, and there's a line of girls running about 4 blocks as we drive by them, and I can look at each other and went, maybe we're on here. Maybe we're on to something. And then we're sitting there, and the girls are crying when they go by. I thought, boy, shit changed, fellas. It changed. That was a moment.
I have two moments. One is when my old hometown newspaper called my dad to get an interview, want to know what's up with his son. I said, well, because he wasn't following this or anything. The other one was driving up Sepulveda Boulevard in the Valley and hearing Broken Wings and realizing it wasn't, I have a cassette player. It wasn't mine. I turned the cassette. It's not me. It's out there. It's a car a lane or two over with their windows down. It's Broken Wings is coming. Holy shit. And then I hear the DJ announce a Broken Arrow by Mr. That's the first time I heard it on the radio.
My Twisted Sister.
That's funny.
When did you know you made it, Rich?
Oh, well, my most vivid memory is when we played at the American Music Awards. And the curtain was down, we hadn't been introduced yet, and we were going to do Kyrie. And I realized that Stevie Wonder, Bruce Springsteen, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Sting, U2, did I say that? I mean, everybody was right there in the front, and my heart was pounding. So I thought, am I going to have a heart attack? Is this going to be the end right here? Because I
This
just
would have been great, though.
it would have been a great story. But the curtain opened, and I guess I just said to myself, I won't look down there. I'll just look out there because I don't want to know what's going on down there. I'm just going to sing out there. And so we start the song, and it's going pretty good, and things are going. It feels like the audience is reacting. It's going well. Okay, well, maybe I'll just take a peek down. And I looked down, and Stevie Wonder was going, Kyrie eleison.
Was he singing?
And all the words. I was like, yeah,
he's clapping.
yeah, and then it was like, okay, we're good.
Was he really, man?
Yeah.
Where was I? I was probably just keeping my eyes closed.
That's great.
Those are
Fantastic.
moments.
Our next question is from Todd Nemphos, and it is, did any of the producers Mr. and Mr. work with did any of the producers Mr. and Mr. work with alter your original musical vision in a positive or negative way?
Yeah. Paul DeVilliers did. I remember him working us
Played
over.
Paul in a very positive way,
Yeah.
and perhaps previous to that with
Peter
I
McKinnon.
can't remember his name, but that took us on some sad detours.
But I remember with Paul DeVilliers, which did Welcome to the Real World with us, he was such a musical guy. He is such a musical guy and such a creative guy, almost to ad nauseum at times. But I remember him sitting with the songs we'd already done, we'd already written, we always had worked up, and he just worked us over. Like, Is It Love is a great example. I mean, that chorus got written about 15 times from the time it started until it came to that as an example. So his contribution was very musical as a producer too. And you were talking about last night about the vocals of Kyrie. Tell him about how you're cutting.
Oh yeah, well it's not like he invented it, but Steve and I would do the background vocals where he'd have us stand like a foot away from the mic and do one pass of the background vocals. He'd go, okay, now move back 3 feet. So we move back 3 feet, he'd make some adjustments, and we do the same thing. Okay, move back 3 more feet. By the end of the night, we were like all the way in the back of the room singing Kyrie. So it was something I'd never thought of, to kind of stagger the space in the room to create some kind of thing. And,
I arrived late that day in the studio. I could hear the vocals when I walk in the control room, but I don't see the guys because way in the back of the room, he'd assembled bleachers, 3 levels of bleachers. He had one microphone in the room and one further out in the room. And Rich and Slug were at the top bleacher all the way to the side. I think, why the fuck are they over there? The microphone's down here. But I hadn't seen it. He'd had them do what Slug just described.
Yeah.
They moved to each
Right.
position of a choir. So things like that. And with me, he's South African. He comes, if you don't know that, he's so connected with drums and drumming and feel and textures of the rubbery sound of drums. So we really indulged. He indulged me. A lot of times the cats would leave. Rich lived in Malibu, Slug was out in the valley. So we're kind of done. We got guide tracks and Pat wants to work some more. So they'd leave me behind with Paul. So we could just smoke a little weed and just experiment. And Paul was
Smoke a lot of weed,
guy.
a lot of weed.
We did things in some separate passes. Paul said, let's separate, do just the snare drum and then the kick drum or the cymbals as overdubs. And there was a pass for Into My Own Hands, where I'm only playing a snare drum to the rest of the track out in the room. And we finished my take, and I said, that's pretty good one. He says, let's do another. And I say, I think we should keep that. It was a pretty good one. He goes, no, I'll keep that. Let's do another one. So we don't do this for drummers. You're talking like a singer where you're going to comp. You're going to have the singer sing it 2 or 10 times. This word is best from here, and that word is best from this before Pro Tools. So I had a 2-track comp to make my, okay, we can take that feels better right there. We'll stick that over into our master track. So Paul was great, especially for me. He really indulged on the drums.
very musical guy.
Very involved, very involved.
I invited him. I tried to get him down here. He was up in Canada. So he didn't make it down for my party.
He's funny though, because I talked to him before this, hoping you'd come down. I did because of you, and I played on an Italian artist record, and went to Canada to visit him a few years ago and played some stuff. Stayed in touch with him, and he said, no, this needs to be your own thing. He had this sort of where it starts and ends for him, I can't commit on that right now. I don't want to be part of it. So we'll just come down for fun, but I don't think he could be here just for fun. I think he'd have to probably say something about this or that,
Paul is very much about depth. He mixed live a lot. So most of studio engineers think about the side to side stereo. They think about depth too, but Paul's almost like mono, like he's in a live environment. And sometimes you're listening as you're trying to make a record, you go, Paul, that sounds like a great live show, but we got to put more sparkle and spread things out, But he does achieve this thing where there was a depth in his recordings. He's just really, he grew up with Trevor Rabin. They were very talented guys.
Yeah, the first time we went to see a Yes concert,
Irvine Meadows.
and Paul was mixing front of house, and it sounded amazing. And we go backstage, and it sounded tiny. We were listening side stage to Yes, and wow, he made it sound so fantastic. Well, let's see if we can,
Yeah, we said, have you
Yeah.
ever made a record or thought
Yeah.
about producing a record? And he said, no, not really. And, well, would you like to? He was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll give it a try.
George is here, and George is who brought Paul to us because
Yeah.
George had our manager, George, who's just off camera, had a Canadian artist, Mark Jordan, and he had arranged for Paul DeVilliers to produce his record maybe. And in the length of time while Paul was gone with Yes and things kept getting drug out, did he lose his record deal? He lost his record deal. So George knew Paul, this brilliant guy. I don't know who turned you on to Paul. Paul. Oh, Atkinson?
No, Mark Jordan.
Oh, okay. So it came through Mark Jordan. Yeah.
But the other thing about him at Irvine Meadows, where he first saw him, was the musicality of his moves. Meaning, he would hit something on when guys do it. You know what I mean? It was all he was playing the song, and he does that. He plays the song, knows when everything's happening, and he makes that move right then and there in time.
Like he really knows the songs is one thing, and when we sound check, he doesn't stay at the desk. We play arenas with him. He runs. unbelievable, up to every corner of the rafters of a venue, yelling back down to his wife or girlfriend then notes to make a change that he can hear and move again. So just so many unorthodox things about the way he approaches making music, you know.
But he's not a perfectionist.
And he's not a guy, you see a lot of mixers doing this. Paul's doing this. He's like they this is almost inconceivable, but if you have the power amps to the main PA in an arena, the power amps are down there. It reached a point where Paul got the confidence of the Clare Brothers crew. They start to realize this guy is fucking spot on. He's really sharp. They allowed him to shut the power amps on and off. So we could end the song doing one of these arena endings, and Paul is under the desk shutting all the power. So they're going as the amps have to come back on. The cones of the speakers are freaking out. It's a climactic event, you know. We can hear.
I didn't know
things.
that. You know that?
No.
We can hear the shit from the stage. I'd hear my drum fill. I hear my drum. Whoa, my drum fill just went across the house. You know.
That's awesome.
I apparently missed out on a lot of shit between Stevie Wonder and this. I don't know.
But you know, we should also mention Kevin Killen, who
Yeah.
worked with us on the album Go On, who was just a really wonderfully talented and great human being who, you know, added a lot to that album sonically. And you know, he had a lot of great song ideas too, and arrangement ideas.
Yeah, we're lucky to work with both of them.
Yeah.
Both super talents.
Yeah, Kevin did Peter Gabriel. He did So and
Yeah. Right.
Engineered.
With Daniel Lanois.
yeah.
Well, you mentioned Go On. Our next question is from Chuck Cochran, and he wants to know, Go On didn't enjoy the same level of success as Welcome to the Real World. What would you do differently, if anything, if you could rewind the clock and record it again?
Probably
Paul
nothing.
Gavillier.
Well, I don't think
For
so.
me, yeah.
Do you, I gotta ask a question. Does they say where these questions come from, where the person is from, or just a fan?
We don't know where they're from. These are all posted to your Facebook
Doesn't
page.
matter.
I know a Chuck Cochran that lives in Milwaukee, actually Carbondale. Could be.
I know one too, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, you know, the plan was to do another record with Paul, but he got sidetracked with Yes.
Yeah.
And so his schedule didn't work out with ours. And our record company was saying, you guys need a follow-up record. You got to get in there and do it. And that was sort of the main reason that we had to switch gears and try something else. But also, I remember thinking, probably arrogantly, that we now had everybody's ear and we could kind of do whatever we wanted. You know, that was sort of a bit of a naive way of thinking, because I think we hadn't made enough of an imprint or impression to warrant taking another giant step, and we sort of did. And so that, along with the record company's disinterest in what we were doing, kind of, you know, was the perfect storm to kind of
Yeah,
make it not successful.
I think you're making that point, but also we can't understate the fact that the record company had completely changed. I mean, all the people that were there on Welcome to the Real World were gone. The record company got sold, and there were all these changes going, and different people. pushing
GE
different
bought
things.
NBC, BMG bought
Mm.
whatever the corporate takeover of
And
NBA.
by the time our record was coming out, there were completely different people in the promotions. And these things change everything. It changed, and we should also state that it changed things for two of their other big acts, Starship and the Eurythmics, same time. So there's multiple things.
Yeah, lots of things happen to cause that.
Almost sounds like the record business.
But
Okay,
we're not
next
making
up.
excuses, no excuses.
Yeah.
Right. The next question is from Frank Bassett. He wants to know, are there any songs that weren't planned for the recording sessions that were composed on the spot?
Of this particular thing?
I think all.
I think
all
across
the-
any Mr. Mystic record.
No, that answer's no. There's been no songs composed on the spot in the studio.
No.
Well, it's an exception.
Uh,
Here's a
Yeah,
similar
Maybe I
exception.
wasn't there.
Like Wheel of Life on the Pole record. That was largely composed in the studio. A couple of those tracks,
Started, yeah.
I forget who we had, three of us tracking as we eventually found because that's a non-click track song. So that's why I know we were still looking for a composition. We're
Right.
still working on it.
Well, on the first 3 records, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that answer the question?
Sure. Well, the next question is Paul.
Sure.
The next question is from
Great
Paul
answer.
Gibbon.
Sure, it does, yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Next question from Paul Gibbon. Are there any plans to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Welcome to the Real World?
This is it. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
We did our Christmas greetings last night. Was that before the tequila?
I don't
I
know.
can't remember, but we'll save that till December for our fans.
It's all a celebration. All the time. Kind of is, actually.
Okay, next question from John Burge. Would you consider creating deluxe editions of the band's catalog, including Dolby Atmos remixes, B-sides, and demos?
Actually talked to Elliot Shiner not too long ago because he's doing 5.1 or they call it something else now again. These new mixes, surround mixes or whatever. And he was saying, yeah, I'll do it, but I don't know. It's a thought.
You got to find the masters again. A lot of stuff that's not that easy to do, and you got to go through. Are we Sony? Who owns? Yeah, it's Sony now. So it's
difficult.
Yeah.
Sony makes it difficult.
So maybe
Of course,
not.
we'd love it if they want to do a remixy thing and make it all modern and spiffy.
So unknown.
Unknown.
Is it something you would want to do though? Is this something you'd like to see realized? I mean, it's all the rage right now. Pat's band King Crimson being one of the most emblematic ones for releasing, multi-disc box sets of albums.
I'd be curious to hear what that sounds like.
Oh, you're talking about Steven? No, I can't hear well enough. Go ahead.
I'm talking about King Crimson is very well known for taking an album and expanding it to multiple discs. So I was
Yeah.
wondering if you'd
Well,
like
that's
to
because-
see that
That's
happen.
because Robert owns the tapes. Robert was smart enough from the very beginning
Yeah.
to license things and keep control of where the masters are.
Hello.
He always helps. Steve has an emergency call there, so. We'll
Okay.
carry on.
From Darren Pillins, we have, are there any unreleased tracks from the first 3 albums?
There are bits and pieces of some things that are not fully realized songs that are not, there's no plan to do anything with them. And you probably know more than me about I mean, there's some titles and just,
Yeah, there are old demos. I can go through cassettes and stuff. Anyway, it's nothing we have time to pursue.
yeah, I don't think they rise to the
There's a
occasion.
reason they got
Yeah,
sifted out.
right.
Next question is from Carl Pearson. Are there any plans to reissue Pull on vinyl?
No,
Why not?
I mean, I don't have a plan.
Do you have
Maybe.
a plan to release this on vinyl, Steve?
It's funny, I was just out in the other room talking about that with somebody on the phone. I don't think I have any plans doing that, so it turns out.
George, any plans to release it on vinyl?
Sony wants such a minimum amount of records that they make it impossible and want us to buy them up front, that they make it impossible financially to do it.
Right.
So the answer is no.
And does that hold true for any other vinyl reissues of the band's catalog?
There's no plans right
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
for that.
Sony owns all of that.
We're
but-
hoping for a regime change
Yeah.
that will want to cooperate.
All right, next one is from Michael Haddad. Can you speak about the time Mr. Mister was rehearsing and Miles Davis was in the next door playing through Broken Wings?
Well,
Can I
Rich
just
and I
say-
remember this a
Go
little bit
ahead.
differently,
Yeah.
but
Go ahead.
I remember, we're rehearsing at, what was it, SAR?
Leeds.
Leeds in Burbank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what it was. And we heard Broken Wings, and I knew the keyboard player, Doug, who was playing with Miles at the time. But we heard Broken Wings, so Rich and I walked out.
We thought it was somebody just messing with us.
Yeah, you got to start.
I
I'm
went
just
to the bathroom.
You heard it happening like a top 40 band learning broken wings.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the point I was
I
remembering. We
came
said,
back
hey,
into the
somebody's learning broken
studio.
wings.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember when they came back in and
I
said,
came back
oh,
in.
okay.
And I said, guys, you
The
got to
door
come
don't-
out here. Come down to the other studio next door to us by the bathrooms.
The door had opened.
The door wasn't open yet. The door was closed, and we all were standing outside the door listening.
Ah.
Because I come back and told you somebody's rehearsing like a cover band. I think they're doing Broken Wings. So we're all listening like this, and behind us is when Miles came. He was just arriving, so we were all hovered at the door.
I don't remember.
We all have different stories,
Yeah.
totally.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But anyway,
And
yeah,
that's
there
when
he
did
was.
The thing about you did. You said we
Right.
we
Well,
wrote
I mean,
that-
first of all, he was playing it, and it was like, and he kind of had his back to everybody. And Steve and I were just going, "Is that Miles? Come on!" It can't.
Yeah.
But then my memory was that he finally came out,
Yeah, he came.
and we were standing there, and I mean, I've never felt more white in my life than talking to Miles Davis. Like I thought I was, somewhat of a, like I had some R&B sense, but you just don't feel like that when you meet Miles Davis.
No,
And
no.
and we said, "Hey, Miles," and he goes, "Yeah." We said, "Well,
We wrote
that song you were playing,
we wrote that
Broken."
song.
Yeah, we wrote that song. He goes, "What you talking about?"
You didn't write that.
Yeah, and he said, "You didn't write that song." And anyway, we're trying to explain it like two little white schoolboys, No, we actually did write. And he just kind of brushed past us and got in his limo, and that was the end of it. Or he just
No.
He said something
Because
to
he
you.
said,
No,
I
he said something to
remember-
both of us.
Yes.
We said, Miles, we wrote that song, You guys wrote that too? You stole it. And he finally got this. You guys are motherfuckers.
exactly.
That's what I remember.
That's
No,
what
and then he said,
that's what I
they were
remember.
No, and
serious.
then he said he
You guys
pointed
are
at you, and he pointed at you, and he said, "You stole that thing from me on summertime,"
Summertime.
that. And it's at that point, I just,
don't-
But then he looks at, I know the story, and
don't
and he
remember
looks
that.
back and he goes, I look at you because you told me this. You go, you stole that from summertime. He looks at you, and goes, I know you know what I'm talking about. But when he was, that happened because that's what I remember.
But I'll tell you, I've been a Miles fan since I was a teenager, and to meet him was, just an unbelievable experience for me.
Playing your song.
Yeah, and playing one of our songs. But meeting your idol is pretty special. One of your idols.
I did finally hear a recording of it too. It wasn't released, but somehow I got to hear it. It was done at a Montreux festival, or I don't know, something. And it was just this jam, and you kind of wouldn't know it was Broken Wings if you didn't know it was,
Yeah.
It just was all over the place, and it was Miles, and
Yeah,
didn't matter.
no. it didn't.
But ever since then, we are sure that these guys are motherfuckers.
Well, that brings us to the very last question, and that is from Gary Nolson. And the question is, can each of you recall your most embarrassing moment with a band that makes you wince to think about?
Well, it wasn't with this band, but
Does it have to be with the
I can
band?
think of one. We're opening for Tina, and our gear has just been put on stage. So there's like 20,000 people, right? But I need to make some adjustments with my stands or whatever it is. So I walk around my kit in the few seconds we have before we're going to start playing, and I can't get the cymbal stand to move. So I start to try and pull it up, and it lifts, and it cracks me in the head. And I go, fuck,
I
there's 20,000
remember that.
people just saw me do that. Then I realized I come back to my kit, and I got blood on my white shirt going, oh, fuck. And this is, I hit myself quite often too, that's always embarrassing. That's just like a wake up call, like, oh shit, knock my glasses off. I didn't wear glasses in those days. But
I do remember one of the last gigs we did with me and the band it was in Phoenix, I'm pretty sure. And it was kind of an offbeat thing. It was out in a parking lot.
it was, yeah.
You remember the gig?
It was
We're in
a
a
benefit for a cop that was shot.
benefit
It
for
was a
cop, and
last
it was
gig in a-
sort of on a trailer as the stage. I do remember walking out playing a solo and backing up and going right over my wedge, ass backwards like this, and falling right on my back. So I did like a cartoon, just put my hands on the ground like this. I mean, that's you gotta own the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think some of the stuff, the shtick in the Kyrie video was a little over the top and wince-worthy. It's sometimes when
I
look
love
at
it though. I still love
Yeah,
it.
you know, but it was kind of, I don't know. If I had to do it all over again, I think I probably wouldn't have been so glib and so.
I think people like it. I've
Yeah,
heard a lot.
that's up to everybody else, but you asked me, and that's mine.
I don't know. I can't remember really any embarrassing moments in this band.
Oh, come on.
You're a liar.
I can't. I was playing with Kenny Loggins and I forgot what I was doing one time on stage. That was pretty embarrassing because it was a solo before I'm All Right. They used to the guys used to call
Completely blank.
yeah, I blanked out. You guys used to call it the Swamp Boogie. I would do this intro into I'm All Right. And we were playing at Paul Masson Winery or something up in Northern California. And I just blanked. I just stopped playing. And I go, what now? What am I going to do? So I kind of got back into it. But that was very embarrassing. I've never had that happen on stage before. But then I listened to the tape afterwards. Terry, the front of house guy, played me the tape, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Your
They sort of
memory-
never are.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like hours, that I was just sitting there, not playing anything. But
Did you have you were just in underwear too?
Yeah.
Here's another one. There's in those days where the technology was at was I was using a Lindrum, which I was able to have because they had it because they didn't have a drummer when I met him. So when they auditioned me, they gave me the Lindrum. So that was part of our routine. And Slug would sequence whatever he had to do on a QX1, probably in those days.
the
So we
Yamaha,
had to synchronize each other. So on stage, we're 20 feet, whatever, 30 feet from each other. He has to have the right data loaded, and me too, when we start. He starts some, I start some. But they got the fucking fog machines. You can't see any. Is he ready? I don't even. And so we had some night where it was disaster. We started 2 different songs, and we have to just figure it out. Soon after that, the crew was great. They made these 2 little boxes for Slug and I, with just a guitar cable. We go red or green.
yeah.
Yeah. I still have them somewhere. I found them moving stuff into the studio, but that was embarrassing.
Yeah, there was one time where the sequence stuff cut out. I think it was
Right.
the Daytona Beach,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
one song. That was kind of embarrassing because, I mean, you kind of need some of that the extra keyboards and stuff on some of the songs. But other than that, I don't really remember.
Nice being with y'all.
Hey, Anil,
I got to go pick up.
he's
my
got to
wife
take
and
off.
daughter.
You should tell your audience the first time you saw the band. But
Well,
you
Miss
got-
Spencer
you gotta
was
go.
the very first concert I ever went to in London, Ontario, Canada, as a very, very young teenager. So you guys are where this all started for me.
We were your first concert.
You were, and it was like the Beatles came. It was, I believe, at the University of Western Ontario, and
Wow.
your limo pulled up. People were chasing you
Yeah.
uh, into the venue and out of the venue, and it was the true rock star scene. It was the perfect way for me to start
We
this.
had that was
We had
Canada,
a
that area.
maybe
We
a
had it.
moment.
The difference,
Montreal was like
the
this.
difference between us and the Beatles was they had to keep running. We stopped and let them get us.
We started sending out invitations. Nothing came back.
No, I'm teasing.
All right, before you
That's
run,
awesome.
any closing thoughts for your fans?
Just happy the fans are still with us, and
Thank
you
you.
know,
Thank
very,
you,
very
fans.
lucky and fortunate to have
Yeah.
such wonderful,
Yeah.
loyal fans, and we
Yeah.
love you all.
We wouldn't be who we are without our fans. So thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you.